Over a year ago, several people came out with a list of accusations against a YouTuber who has been extremely popular for well over a decade. These accusations consist of cheating in relationships, being a manipulative friend, and more importantly, being inappropriate with underage fans while also asking them for inappropriate photos. Many people have spoken out against him, from fans to other large influencers, including his ex-best friend of 14 years. After receiving backlash from this situation, this YouTuber privated his social media accounts for a while, deleted over 1 million views worth of content from his channel, and then came back to the internet a short time later as if nothing had ever happened, making a vague response and deleting it a few months later. Destery Smith, otherwise known as CapnDesDes or Destery from DesandNate, was once well known for his I Don't Even Know series with his former best friend Nathan. Many longtime Shane Dawson fans may also remember him from his WTF News, which took place on Shane's channel. Speaking of Shane Dawson, many people are concerned with his recent announcement sharing that he would be working with Destery on upcoming projects in 2023. Remaining fans of Shane Dawson are beginning to back away due to the concerns about giving Destery a platform to a likely young audience. And if you're wondering how we got to this point, allow me to explain. This is the first video that I am recording after moving, and I feel like there is an echo. I hope that doesn't pick up on the mic. If it does, I'll get that sorted out in the near future. Things aren't perfect in here yet, but I think that this should still be watchable. So for those of you who do not know, about a year ago, I made a video on a YouTuber named Destery Smith, or CapnDesDes, or Destery from DesandNate, who was a very, very popular YouTuber way back in the early to mid 2000s. There were a lot of really awful accusations going on about Destery. Just to sum everything up in the one sentence, he was accused of quite a few things, such as cheating on girlfriends, but more importantly, also allegedly and being very sexual with his minor fans. Over the past week, many have come forward sharing their experiences with Destery. This started with a user on TikTok called Your Girl Adri, which is the TikTok you're seeing right now without any of the music. She claims that as a teenager she idolized Destery and that he used this to his advantage, so to speak. According to Adri, this TikTok was removed by Destery for bullying. After Audrey's video, tons of people have come forward with their own stories on Destery. Claims of him cheating on previous partners, going after underage girls, and manipulating several different friends for his own personal gain. Claims were made that he collected inappropriate photos from teenage girls, attempted to fly minors out to sleep with him, which if true is considered grooming by the way, and also slept with girls who were not only under the age of 18, but apparently some being under the age of 16 as well, which if you don't know, some states consider 16 years old to be the age of consent, so if true, this would not be legal in any state. After the information began to surface and more people came out with their stories, Destery privated all of his social media, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, you name it. And people speculated that this was so he could delete incriminating evidence on his profiles. To test that theory, I decided to look up his social blade for his YouTube channel, and sure enough, the day after these claims began, he deleted over 1.2 million views worth of content off of his YouTube channel. And even after I made this video, there were plenty of people who continued to come out and speak out about Destery and talk about their experiences with him and how inappropriate he was with them, allegedly. There's even a photo of him with a fan who is a minor and a screenshot of his old social media posts where he talks about dating a teenager. After many people began talking about this situation, Destery made a response video, and boy oh boy was it really something. Now, two things. One, this video has been removed from Destery's YouTube channel. It's no longer available or public. This is a re-upload. I've actually found this from Ready to Glare. And two, we're only looking at a couple clips here. If you want to see more of his video, you can check her video out because she shows larger portions of it in her response to him. But I just want you to listen to what he's saying here and ask yourself, if you didn't already know what was going on, would you know what he was accused of based off of what he says in his response? Because he is so vague that I don't think I would know what he was accused of, and I think he did this on purpose. But more on that later.
Am I any of the other things that people are saying about me? Absolutely not. However, I am constantly sorry about the person that I was, and I'm constantly saying sorry for the person that I was, constantly trying to distance myself from the person that I used to be even 5 years ago. And truthfully, I think I've come a long way. I mean, depending on how long you've watched me on this channel, I'm sure you can see the same thing about me and my content. I am not the same person I was 12 years ago when I started my first channel. And I'm grateful for that fact. I've made friends, I've lost friends, I've made lovers, I've lost those lovers. I've made constant mistakes, I've failed dozens of times. But each one of those things was a lesson that made me who I am today, and less of the person that I used to be and the qualities that I hated about myself. Whatever I was, I'm not that person anymore.
He also, in that video, said this.
That said, I am still human. Those aren't the last mistakes I'll ever make. And if there's anything I ever do that's shitty, that irks you, or I make you uncomfortable, or you think that I step over the line, communicate that with me. Let me know these things. Because another thing to note is that my brand is sexual jokes. My brand is weird, creepy humor. It's always been that way, and it will probably always be that way. It's just who I am, and that's presumably why you started watching me in the first place. But I would still like to be told when something I do crosses a boundary, whether that be something I say in a video or something that is proven to be true about me as a person.
Yeah, we're supposed to be the ones communicating with him, even though at that point he had turned his comments off, which he said he was going to do in his video, and also privated all of his social media accounts for a while, deleted a plethora of videos, and even made it so that at that point people couldn't like or dislike the video because YouTube didn't remove dislikes yet, or hide them. And despite publicizing his social media platforms and posting again as if nothing had ever happened, he still has restrictions on his public social media, such as his replies on Twitter being turned off. He had privated that video, that apology video, if you want to call it that, and just continued to make content on his YouTube and TikTok and other various forms of social media. He also made this video back in July where he's basically reintroducing himself to either his audience who stayed faithful to him after all of this, or a potentially new audience. And what I find really interesting is that I never see any comments about what happened underneath his videos, so I question if he is censoring them. I'm surprised he's even allowing comments at all under his videos, so I guess this is a step up from before when all of this first happened. Not really, it's actually a step down, because what that shows is that he knows these comments are being made, but he wants to hide them from the rest of his audience that might not know. Oh, he also dives into how much he loves to make music in this video and talks about one of his hip-hop, Spotify, and Apple Music accounts called Little Mistake, and oh boy, yeah, I think that was a little mistake. Nevertheless, he posts a little snippet of one of his songs from that account called Lies, and obviously if I play his song, I will likely get copyrighted, so I'll just read you some of the lyrics. It's really no wonder why you tried taking me down, because when I'm at my lowest, I'm still at higher ground. You tried taking me down, but couldn't succeed. So you can take your effing lies and try to package and sell it. Tell the people that hate me to try to practice and tell it. And I gotta admit, it was a pretty good try, but you're a piece of passing dust, not even worth a reply. So is that why you turned your comments off? What I find really interesting is the fact that he says much more in this song than he does in his response to everything that has happened. In his response video, what he said was, I used to be a huge piece of shit, and I'm a better person now. Some of the people aren't being 100% truthful, but I don't want to drag their name down by responding to it because I'm not that kind of guy. What I find really weird about that is the fact that if that many people were coming out against you with accusations like this, wouldn't the first thing you want to do is respond to them directly and call them out for being lies if they were in fact lies like you claim, instead of laying low for a month and then coming out with this, saying how you don't want to bring anybody down? That's not really what any normal person would do in a situation like this, unless they were guilty and unless they were trying to hide things from their audience. And if you're still skeptical, well, here's the thing, he wouldn't even have to directly name anybody. All he would have to say were the specific accusations, but he doesn't even do that in the video because he doesn't want his audience to know what those accusations are. And I can't help but think that if he were truly innocent of these things, he would be much more confident in dismissing it and saying, no, these are lies. And that is why I don't think he brought those accusations up, and was also very very, very vague. He is still vague in this song, but he is much more confident in saying that there are lies and that people were trying to tear him down. And also, he seems to have a lot less respect for the people who quote-unquote made these lies, because in my opinion, if he felt the way that he said he did in his video, he wouldn't be saying these things, calling people who lied about him names like bitch, and bragging about how he's still on top. It makes his excuse about how he doesn't want to bring anybody down with him sound really fake and phony. The entire song is just as bad as those few lyrics, by the way. The main lyrics go, "I'm not a violent person, but I'll put you in the ground, bitch. I'm so sick and tired of all your effing bullshit. Run your mouth and lie, I'ma sit here and take it. Maybe I'd be worried if you weren't so effing worthless." We just had a mask off moment, didn't we? Tell us how you really feel, Destery, because it seems a lot different than the loyal, higher ground person who wanted to make sure that he wasn't bringing anybody down with him when he made his response. You think that you're better than anybody criticizing you for it because you could make a rap song shaming the people you've allegedly victimized? I guess that convinces me that you're such a stand-up guy, but apparently it convinced somebody, because now Shane Dawson has given this person an opportunity. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Shane Dawson, especially if you've seen any of my previous videos. Recently, Shane Dawson has come out and publicly announced that he will be working with Destery in a YouTube community post that reads, "Big announcement. Starting 2023, the podcast will be weekly. Thank you, Destery Smith, for editing today's podcast. I'm so grateful we met back in 2008, and I'm so excited to work with you and your new company, Triangle Face Productions, in 2023. Hope you guys are enjoying the new episode. I'm so excited I might puke, in a good way." This isn't just a random type of this person's being canceled because he said something stupid a few years ago, and now he's a changed person, and he's reflected, and he's grown from his mistakes. This guy literally has several different people coming out against him, claiming that he has groomed them or has been very inappropriate to them while they were underage. And a lot of people have not only shared their experiences with it, but people have shown proof of it too. Even his best friend for over a decade came out and talked about how horrible of a person Destery actually was, his own witnessing of certain events that have happened, and talked about how he no longer associates with Destery because of the way he was and his actions. He convinced me that it was cool the way he mistreated people, and he fed me lies about a perfect future so that I wouldn't ever want to question him for fear of losing out on the life I wanted. Destery would do things like show me pictures of random people sending him nudes so that way I would see how desirable he is and how he can get away with so much if he wanted, and even would have me transfer huge amounts of money from his PayPal to his bank so that I could see how much money he was making. It makes me sick to think about how I couldn't see how wrong the things he has done were, but that's why he attacks the people he does. People who don't question and people who are submissive and easy to manipulate. It took this long for me to be strong enough to come forward, and for that, I'm sorry. Anytime I would find out he was cheating on a girlfriend, I would tell them because the amount of guilt I would have knowing that would overwhelm me. That led to him telling many people that I would steal his girls, but it was literally just me being a good person, and he wanted to be able to lie, cheat, and manipulate. And so as long as I knew what was going on, he would not be able to do that. So he got very good at hiding it from me. So much so that for 6 years, I thought he was being loyal to his girlfriend, only to find out now that in 2021 that the entire time he had been getting nudes from other girls and flirting with countless people, including underage girls. He is now being platformed by another YouTuber with over 20 million subscribers, most of which are likely younger. I don't know, I can't see how that could go wrong in any way whatsoever. And if you're wondering if I'm shocked that Shane Dawson is doing this, absolutely not. 100% no. I don't think this is beneath him for a second. I mean, he is friends with somebody who did almost the same exact thing, albeit to a slightly worse degree. But if he is going to hang around with people who platform people like that. So this is me editing the video, coming in here to tell you that I actually made that comment before going on social media today to find out that Shane Dawson is going to be releasing another docu-series with Jeffree Star next week. I'm not surprised, I'm just dead inside. I don't think it's going to be beneath him to do the same thing with awful people who might be putting his younger audience in danger. I really don't think he cares or gives a fuck. Quite frankly, I don't think he gives a shit If people are upset at this point, he has survived the biggest internet cancellation I've ever seen. Cancellation, by the way. You can't really be canceled unless you cancel yourself at this point, I think. Otherwise, people like Destery Smith wouldn't still be thriving. Clearly, he is getting an opportunity to work with Shane Dawson again. He has been buddies with him for quite a long time. They've worked together years ago. I think working with Shane again probably will be a big opportunity, and this isn't just going to open up a window of opportunity for people like Destery, who have already shown that they shouldn't be trusted with a young audience. But if you've watched Shane Dawson during his documentary era, at his peak, where literally any day he uploaded would break the algorithm for anybody else on YouTube, there was a common theme in his docu-series where he would try to redeem people. And a lot of these people in his docu-series would have their own scandals, would have been canceled for one reason or another, and Shane's goal with these docu-series were to essentially rebuild their reputations. And why I'm bringing this up is because, in my opinion, this creates something very worrisome if he's going to be working with people like Destery Smith now, because he is now once again platforming Destery to his larger audience. And I particularly think there are two types of people who follow Shane. They're either kids who don't know everything that has happened in the recent years, or they are people who have been following Shane for a long time and don't like quote-unquote cancel culture. And at this point, I am so sick of that phrase, believe it or not, because nowadays people will compare cancel culture to any form of criticism, and some criticism for some things can be ridiculous, like that famous analogy that somebody wrote about Twitter, which is basically someone saying, "I like pancakes," and then somebody responding to them with, "Oh, well, so you're saying you hate waffles?" Or there might be criticism of somebody who has said or done something 5 to 10 years ago, and they might have different views now. They might have grown as a person, educated themselves, and learned things through life experiences since then. But the flip side to that is, if somebody said something horrible 10 years ago, but has shown absolutely no growth, or if anything has become worse, they're just continuing a pattern of negative behavior with no intention of changing. And in my opinion, when it comes to potentially putting young fans in danger by platforming people like this guy, who have had several people come forward with accusations and evidence backing up their claims, that is an issue. What I fear is that with Shane overcoming this cancel culture and possibly even growing an audience of people who might hate cancel culture, is because it may now be an opportunity for him to blur the lines between people who have had things nitpicked about them, for a lack of better term, and people who have done reprehensible things and are an actual danger to their audience. In other words, don't listen to what people are saying about Destery, guys. He's a good dude. Sure, there might be evidence and accusations of him being a huge creep to his young fans, but that's just cancel culture trying to tear him down. I'm not trying to say that's what he did say, by the way. As far as I know, right now he hasn't responded to it, but a lot of people have left comments on his community post expressing how upset they are with this decision. And going back to what I started this point off with, if he could make this decision to potentially attempt to redeem somebody's reputation after doing something this reprehensible, allegedly, then what's stopping him from doing this to literally any other creator who's in the same boat? Who's it going to be next? Shane Mini Lad? This also wouldn't be the first time that Shane has made it painfully obvious that he just doesn't care, and I am very convinced that he just doesn't care, because even if he tried to claim ignorance, like he didn't know about this previously, it's been a week at this point and he has said nothing about this after all of the backlash he's received. There's no way he doesn't know about this now, yet he's just making unrelated posts and ignoring the concerns from his audience. And I know I've been rambling about this for a few minutes, but like I said, this is why this video is to focus on the fact that since at this point I'm led to believe that Shane doesn't really care because he's not doing anything to show that he cares about this situation, it's kind of up to the audience to understand that what he is doing is platforming somebody who could potentially be harmful to his audience, especially if they are young. But the problem with this is, obviously, he shouldn't be putting that responsibility on his audience to just determine whether or not the people he's platforming are harmful, allegedly. But the reality of it is, that's kind of what we have to do. We just kind of have to hope that everybody who watches Shane knows the reality behind this situation with Destery. What I'm trying to get at here is is the fact that I am making this video just to make others aware that this person is still online, is still thriving online. He has not gone away after everything that has happened, and there is a risk that this could open the door for more potential harmful things to happen to a young audience. I am just bothered by this. I think that's the best way to put it. I'm not angry, I'm not shocked, I'm just over it at this point. There are so many people who continuously put people in harm's way on not just YouTube, but on other platforms as well, that just shouldn't have access to a platform that kids have access to, yet they just get away with all the time and still get handed out opportunities left and right. I'm not surprised, but I'm bothered. I'm bothered and I'm concerned for people who still allow their kids to watch people like Shane. I'm concerned for people who are younger and still watch people like Shane, who might still watch Destery. I mean, he's even on TikTok, and younger kids are on TikTok, and he has access to create a new audience at any point who might not know about the previous shit. It just disgusts me that nothing is done about this, and that he could do this again and again and again, and probably still get away with it. And if he ever gets caught again, you know what's gonna happen? The same goddamn thing. He's gonna make a response video and gaslight his audience, delete all of his comments, block all of his comments, private all of his stuff for 6 months, and then come back again like nothing happened. He's not the only one. He's not the only person who does this by far. He won't be the first, he won't be the last, and I'm just over it. Thank you so much if you've made it all the way to the end of this video. Thank you so much to everybody supporting me over on Patreon, especially Lewis, Miss Tanisha, Anthony, Tress Michelle, and Demer WM. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video.